Okay. Phew. Um, thank you. And hopefully by the time that you've got to this video, you're probably your fourth or fifth video in. And I want to take this time for you to get to know me and hear a couple of the stories about why I do what I do and why it's so important to me that you are here and that you get everything you need from this. And if you don't mind indulging me, I'm going to be using a big stack of notes, and it's not very comfortable, and I prefer to have it, the big screen and fancy, cute stuff and pictures. It's not going to be that all the time. Sometimes it's going to be me sharing stories and me being real with you. And today, right now, this is the first time I'm going to do that with you. So this stack of papers was written in a Chick-fil-A. I was trying to figure out what to name this school, and I was really struggling. This is 2 or 3 months ago when I was really deciding that it was time to be uncomfortable and it was time to get out there in the world. We're facing some pretty ugly things out there. We're facing more tyranny as far as medical systems go. We're facing, medical shortages or medicine shortages because the medicine comes from China, and China's not very happy with us right now. And we're facing a lot more out there than we've ever faced before. Now is the time for this school. Now is the time for this type of education. It's time to get it from those centralized hospitals and doctors and people who really don't know the traditional medicines and the old ways. They're really dependent on pharma. They're so dependent on pharma that most of the scholarships come from big pharma, and most of the schools, the med schools, most of the wings, most of the halls are named after pharmaceutical representatives or pharmaceutical researchers or pharmaceutical companies themselves. That's a problem. There's a conflict of interest there. It's just become a self-fulfilling system where we no longer teach the old ways, but we can make medicines that we prescribe to you from isolates from an herb or homeopathics. Did you know nitroglycerin given to heart patients is actually a homeopathic remedy? And once it became a homeopathic remedy on their side, they now own it. Does that shock you? Well, it doesn't shock me because I've been in this world for quite a long time. So we're going to have that quick conversation today, as quick as I can make it. It's quick compared to the volume that I'd like to share with you. So here's some things that I really wrote about that I really kind of want you to get is the system that has been created is we go to a particular individual or a particular degree of individual, and that particular individual regurgitates what they learned from another individual that was like them, or from a textbook that was like them, or from research that was like them. They never expanded to be all the possibilities. They just have one central, this is what it is, okay? And they're very good at it. And they don't mean any harm, and this isn't making them wrong or bad. It's just, that's what it is. It's very limiting, very small. There used to be more. The doctors used to talk about how active you are, what you consumed, how much sunlight you got. They used to talk about what kind of, stress that you have in your life, what kind of crises are going on around you, what does your past look like? There used to be a bigger conversation, not of these are your symptoms XYZ and let's give you a PDQ drug. Now, I'm going to be inviting you to also not do that with herbs. It's so easy to do that. Oh, are these your symptoms? Oh, well, of course, this is the herbal that you need. No, let's abandon that entire thought process that we can fill out an equation and get the proper answer. That's not how healing, midwifery, natural medicine, that's not how we heal. Healing is a process that evolves from balance and expression. It's spiritual, it's emotional, it's physical, it's all of the things. And we don't find true healing unless it's full mind, body, and spirit. That's this program. That's these two programs together making us whole, because we made ourselves broad. Because we include the education we get from all the people and all the levels and all the things. That's what makes us whole. Okay. So back to this conversation, and this is going to be kind of a dry conversation, and I feel like it's dry, but obviously I'm adding some extras to it. So this is what I felt like. In the midwifery world, and in the medicine world too, we're kind of looked down. I am kind of looked down on, and traditional midwives and direct entry midwives are kind of looked down on, or even free birthers, or kind of look like the only reason that we're doing this is because we're not educated. And that's the furthest thing from the truth. The reason we're doing what we're doing is because we're highly educated. We realize there's something missing over there. We identify that something is just not working over there. Either that system has abused us or hurt us or left us wanting, or that system has failed to make sense. Why? Why is it failing to make sense? Because what they've done is they've put shackles or chains on what you're capable of learning. They've said, okay, the only way is da 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 da. Such as there's no treatment for cholestasis of pregnancy except micromanaging it. No healing. You can't heal from fibromyalgia. You cannot do that. What? I'm not sure I understand how come they think a body that is constantly trying to obtain homeostasis will never be able to obtain homeostasis in those particular situations. And that goes for about 90% of ailments. They don't know what causes it and they don't know how to treat it. And what that looks like for us is we chase these diagnostic names, but never have any hope of ever overcoming what it was we got named with. Okay. And so that restriction or that limit on everything almost puts an expiration date or a tag on our forehead. So either, you have cancer and you're going to die in 6 months, right on the bottom of your foot, that's your expiration date. You're going to die in 6 months. Or you have fibromyalgia right there on your forehead, fibromyalgia. You're bipolar, and it's there. And then most people have bipolar, diabetic, fibromyalgia, arthritis, and they just get these names and names and names and names, but no one ever said, hey, you are not going to find balance with insulin. Just not. You're always going to need more. Your body's always going to become more and more resistant to it. You're not going to find balance over there with Prozac. Just not. Prozac and Wellbutrin, one of the known side effects is disconnection from humanity. It disconnects you from the ability to make connections to other humans. Why do you think you needed them to begin with? Where was where was the problem? Was it in, hey, look, I need a drug that causes me to not be able to get to humans, to heal other humans. I need a drug that shuts off my brain so I don't have to feel anything again. Sounds like alcohol, doesn't it? All right, so enough with sarcasm, because I'm not attacking the medical community. I'm really not. What I'm after here is this awareness that everyone can obtain balance. Everyone, for everything. Some of us, it's more work than others, and some of us are a little far gone. That's just the reality we find ourselves in, right? But I firmly, firmly believe that there is healing for everyone. You just have to start really, really looking and really, really digging. And this is the course for you. I want to kind of go through a couple of side notes. Health, healing, birth, biology in general doesn't adhere to a formula. So if you do XYZ to perfection, it does not guarantee PDQ is the outcome. So I could be the perfect midwife. I could say all the right things. I could check the heart tones the right number of times. I can check dilation the right number of times. Everything according to the textbook. It does not guarantee I have a living baby at the end. It just doesn't. That's not how biology works. There's no function there, right? And the same thing goes with natural healing. There just isn't do this formula and this is your outcome. It just doesn't happen that way. And a lot of us have learned to be checkboxers. Oh, go to high school, check. Go to college, check. Get a good job, check. Get married, check. Have children, check. Buy a house, check. And we just go through life checking these boxes. And that's how we started living our life in all manners of our life. Okay, so I have this. Got it. Then I take this. Check. Got it. I can't eat this. Check. Got it. There's no discussion outside of that box that we were issued. And so, ladies and gentlemen, I was never issued a box. So the benefit is that somehow the box always looked weird to me and I just never got into it. So what I'm teaching you, what I'm sharing with you is outside of that box. It's a broader spectrum of possibilities, not just this is black, this is white, this is the check boxes you need to check off to get the result that you asked for. It doesn't work like that. Okay. The problem with guidelines and protocols are based on statistics, and those statistics were not morally collected. There's an agenda beyond the statistics. So that's the other thing too, is that almost every pharmaceutical is statistically based. So let's say Prozac treats depression. You'll be shocked at how many times or how low those statistics are before it's approved by the FDA and actually prescribed to people. And how many people are on it that are getting no help at all. Okay, that's a different conversation. But there isn't, we talked about the vaccinations and things. The actual proof that these people never catch the vaccinations, and you look at the number of people who actually catch it after being vaccinated for it, it's really high. They never really offer 100%, and it's usually not even 20 or 30%. So that's a different conversation. And that leads us also to one little tiny story. So I had a baby that was born at home, and his cord snapped before he was born. Horrible, horrible story. The worst day of my life. I had to resuscitate this baby. He's alive. He's fine. I love him to death. I mean, like, I feel very connected to him on a level that I can't explain, because his first 10 or 15 breaths, came from my lungs, and I will always feel that. Like, it'll always be, I feel like he's part of me and I'm part of him, and I'll never change that. That'll never go away. Anyway, I'm gonna cry, and now you're gonna get to know how connected I am to these babies. But when he went to the hospital, obviously we transported because there was major blood loss and he really needed to be seen by the doctors. And hindsight, I'm not sure his mother and I would have the same actions that we had. But hindsight's always 20/20, and you didn't know ahead of time. But when he got to the hospital, they decided to cool him off and do a 3-day where they dropped his temperature, way, way low, and kept him cool and on morphine. And this is what they said. This treatment, this hypothermic treatment, hypo means less than, thermic means temperature. So this hypothermic treatment has been researched and researched and researched. But listen to the research, listen to even how it's worded. Okay, so it's to lessen the chances of brain damage. How did you know what levels of brain damage he was going to have before anyway? Was there any way to measure what this particular baby was going to have? No, there wasn't. And there's no way to measure if you've had this many minutes of low oxygen, or this many minutes of blood loss, or this volume of blood loss. This is the level of brain damage. There's no way to measure that or to validate the treatment. Now, the parent said no, so the hospital pulled in the Department of Children's Services. It was always considered an experimental treatment. It's never considered an official treatment, but it has to be done within 24 hours. So they called the Department of Children's Services in, they took custody of the baby, and bam, treatment got done. But what they didn't discuss, and there was no time to discuss, was what are the side effects, or what is the impact of hypothermic treatment for 3 days, and what is the impact of the medication to keep him under and in that coma, and what was the medication, what was the side effects of the medication of morphine to keep him out of pain while he was going through this, and then what is the impact of not being able to breastfeed or eat for those few days. So, like, all of these different things, there isn't research for those parts of things. But because they have an idea that this is what they want to do, they just do it. And it's very, very frustrating, because there wasn't a way to measure that. There wasn't a way to measure whether or not that worked. It was literally somebody's hypothesis that they then made statistics up to support it. This is not acceptable, folks. And we have no recourse to fight. There's nothing we can do. You can't sue, you can't go back. And after they've already done the damage, they've done the damage, it's done. Whatever impact they had, in addition to the impact of what happened, is now there. So that's their protocol, and you better follow it or you're out. Or we take your child and we follow it anyway. What can we do? What is there? Well, there's a lot we can do. And part of it is educating ourselves. And the other part of it is creating a movement where people are not so oblivious and they're not just following the orders of the lab coats. We're going to start taking back our power, and that's going to look like a high education. So if we want our freedom back, we have to have the personal responsibility to educate ourselves. It's one of the biggest reasons I'm doing this. Not because I don't have children, small children anymore. My children are grown, but I will have grandchildren. I already do have some grandkids, but I will have more. There's more to that, folks. I'm tired of this. And it's not going to go away with lessening our responsibility. It's only going to get worse. They're not giving it back. Please, sir, may I have the responsibility of my child back? That's not going to happen. We are going to have to educate ourselves, and we're going to have to fight tooth and nail, because gosh darn it, that's what we do here in America. Okay, sorry, just got on an American rant. All right, guys, I'm not even sure what to call this video. It was literally, popping stuff up everywhere. It was literally just one of my biggest motivators for what I'm doing. It's to put the power back over there. It's to empower you to make good decisions and for you to be able to see statistics and be able to communicate, and avoid having to turn to that system for every little thing. All right, guys. Sorry for ranting so much. Talk to you later. Bye.